What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Week 19 Premier League predictions. This is the last video of 2024, and we are 25 subscribers away from 30,000. So I'm assuming now, by me saying subscribe, we will reach 30,000 subscribers by the new year. And if we do, I will kick on with Serie A, La Liga, and Bundesliga prediction videos into the new year, as well as Premier League and Champions League. So thank you so much for an incredible 2024. Thank you in advance, of course, for 30,000 subscribers if we get there. And with that being said, flashing up on the screen are all of the people that are supporting me over on Patreon and have been since we started doing that. If you want exclusive tips, accumulators, predictions, and everything like that, you can click the first link in the description to join, or the join button down below on YouTube. We are over 100 units in profit so far this season, which is a much better record than a lot of other records that I've seen on YouTube. So if you want to get involved with that, the group chats, you can also talk to me more directly, then click that first link in the description to join the Patreon, where it is still very cheap at only $9.99 a month. And you also get a shout out in every video, like I did in this video and all the videos previous. So that's pretty cool too. So we are going to kick it off with Leicester up against Manchester City. Now, Liverpool's game against Leicester went pretty much as expected. I thought Liverpool would win and concede, and they did. However, Man City up against Everton didn't quite go how I predicted. I predicted a 1-0 win to Man City. Man City took the lead. You think, okay, but then Everton, a really nice goal to get back into it. And then Erling Haaland has his penalty saved by Jordan Pickford, meaning Man City failed to win again. And at this point, I feel like I should just predict Man City to win every single week. And then if they do, I get the prediction right. And if they don't, that's just hilarious. But I do think against Leicester, Man City are going to win, but I can't really say it's going to be by a big margin. It should be. It should be about 6-0, realistically. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Manchester City, and I'm keeping the tip super conservative. Man City to win and over 1.5 goals. It goes to 1.44 from like 1.3. So Man City, I think they're going to get a win. Surely they get a win. We're going to leave it there. Moving on to Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace up against Southampton. Crystal Palace held high-flying Bournemouth to a 0-0 draw, and Southampton lost to West Ham, as I predicted and tipped actually last game week. West Ham's won at 2.2. I thought that was pretty good. I just don't see where the wins for Southampton come from. I think if there was ever a game where they could get something, it was that game against West Ham last time out, and I did predict they'd score against West Ham, and they didn't even do that. So I'm just going to shade it to Crystal Palace, say 2-1. The tip is Crystal Palace to win at 1.57. The odds are way too low, but I can't in good conscience back either both teams to score or both teams to score no in this fixture either, because that relies on Southampton doing something, and I don't know which way to go. So we'll say Crystal Palace to win at 1.57. Now after this, we travel to Goodison Park for Everton up against Nottingham Forest. Everton, as I just mentioned before, drawing 1-1 with Manchester City at the Etihad as well. Phenomenal result, or is it these days? I don't know. And Nottingham Forest beating Tottenham 1-0 at the City ground. So I think this is obviously going to be a low-scoring game. Everton, they scored against Manchester City, yes, but they failed to score in 4 of their previous 6 games before that. I think this will be low scoring, and Nottingham Forest are actually the underdogs in this fixture, and I can't really see why. Forest were the first and only team to beat Brentford away from home. As I just said, they beat Tottenham and kept a clean sheet. So I'm going to say a 1-0 win to Nottingham Forest. The tip is going to be under 2.5 goals. You could also go, if you think it might be a little higher scoring, you could go Nottingham Forest double chance at 1.44, or Nottingham Forest double chance and under 3.5 goals. That'll probably bring you in at around evens. So I just think lower scoring type of game. Shade Nottingham Forest in any way that you can. I think there will be money to be made in that one. Now, after this, it is Fulham up against Bournemouth at Craven Cottage. Bournemouth slipped a little bit in their 0-0 draw with Palace, and Fulham, a late winner against Chelsea, coming from behind at Stamford Bridge. I mean, realistically, even forgetting last week's results, you should expect Fulham to win at Craven Cottage against Bournemouth. But Bournemouth have had such a good season, it's going to be difficult, and I don't think Fulham perform as well as the favourites. I think when they're the underdogs, you know, you look at the Liverpool game, I know they were helped by a red card. The Arsenal game, I think Arsenal battered Fulham really, and Fulham quite lucky to get a point. And the Chelsea game where Fulham drew as well, or not the Chelsea game, sorry, the Tottenham game where Fulham drew as well. The Chelsea game where they then won. Fulham perform really well as the underdog and take points from the big teams, but they then fail to deceive, flatter to deceive against the lesser teams. Obviously, losing 4-1 to Wolves, which really, when Wolves were playing them, they were in a terrible position. They got absolutely battered. So I just think they're not going to be able to win. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but the tip will be both teams to score at 1.53. Now, speaking of Wolves, they travel to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is Tottenham up against Wolves, and despite Spurs losing to Forest, which is one of the most Spursy things, really, and Wolves beating Manchester United, I think Tottenham are going to bounce back here and get quite a high-scoring win. Tottenham, I'm actually predicting to be the only team in this game week to score 3 or more goals, which is going to be a shock, especially considering the fixtures later down the line in this video. But I'm going to go for Tottenham to win 3-1. I definitely think Wolves will score, so I'm going to say, with that logic, Tottenham and both teams to score at 2.5. After this now, we have West Ham up against Liverpool. Lopetegui, he's hanging in there. Got a very good result against Southampton. It wasn't looking likely, to be honest, especially after the first half. It was looking like it could be a draw. Southampton could nick it. It was, to be honest, it went exactly how I thought it would. It would be a close game where any team could win it, but West Ham would in the end, just because of how bad Southampton have been. And that is essentially what happened. Liverpool beat Leicester, did concede, but I actually think they're going to keep a clean sheet in this one. Even though they've been conceding a few goals as of late, I think this will just be a lower scoring, less crazy. We've had the 6-3, we've had the 3-1. Let's just get the job done and get out, because it's a difficult fixture, West Ham away. I'm going to go for Liverpool to win 2-0, and the tip is going to be Liverpool and under 4.5 goals. That brings you odds of 1.95. A Liverpool win is about 1.4, so that's a massive increase. Do I think it'll be 4-1, 5-0? I don't. I mean, both teams have scored in the last 5 meetings between West Ham and Liverpool. It's a bit of a gut feeling. It's been a busy few weeks, a lot of fixtures, and I think Liverpool would just want to get the job done and get out. So I'm going to go for a 2-0. Now, after this, it's Villa Park for Aston Villa up against Brighton. Aston Villa lost to Newcastle. Last week, you predicted Newcastle will win and Isaac to score. That happened, and Brighton are yet to play Brentford. They play them tonight, I think in 1 or 2 hours after this video has been uploaded. So I do... For those of you that want to know, I predicted a 1-1 draw in the Premier League prediction video, but I tipped both teams to score. But on the day, I'm leaning more towards a Brighton win. Regardless of that, Aston Villa up against Brighton. This obviously means Aston Villa have an extra day's rest. They were battered and Duran was sent off, but they've got Watkins who can just slot right in and replace him. Aston Villa at Villa Park are a tricky team to beat, so I'm going to say that Villa win 2-1, and the odds are good enough here for me. Aston Villa to win at 1.9. After this, it is Ipswich up against Chelsea. Chelsea, as I said, lost last minute up against Fulham, and Ipswich are yet to play Arsenal at the Emirates. I think Arsenal win by at least 3 goals, to be honest. You never know, but I do think Ipswich will suffer a heavy defeat to Arsenal, seeing Arsenal leapfrog Chelsea and Nottingham Forest into second place in the league. I think Chelsea are going to win this one. Sort of not really business as usual. I think it's going to be much like when Chelsea beat Bournemouth. They beat them 1-0. I think it'll be one of those kind of games. It'll be like the Liverpool-West Ham game as well. I think Chelsea just do enough to get the win. I'm going to say 2-0, and the tip will be Chelsea to win at 1.42. I'm not quite sure where else to go. I'm not going to look at overs. I'm certainly not going to look at unders, but I don't want to look at both teams to score yes, no either, because I think Ipswich could contribute. So it's a tricky one to predict this one in that sense, in terms of picking a tip that isn't just outright Chelsea to win, because I also wouldn't go as far as to say Chelsea -1 handicap at around evens either. So it's a difficult one, but Chelsea to win 2-0. After this, we travel to Old Trafford for Manchester United up against Newcastle. Now, I had Man United not winning last week, and then I was convinced by a TikTok live chat to say Man United would win. And now, who looks like the mug? Me. Because Wolves beat Manchester United 2-0. Newcastle, as I expected, did beat Aston Villa at home. And whilst they're much better at home than they are away, I think anyone can beat Manchester United at this point. So I think Newcastle are going to win. I'm going to say 2-1. The tip is Newcastle double chance at 1.4. You could go Newcastle double chance and both teams to score, but will Man United contribute? Who knows? You could go Newcastle draw no bet if you prefer. That's probably close to evens as well. Either way, take a look at it. Shade Newcastle. I think that's how that game's going to go. And then we move forward to 2025 for New Year's Day. Brentford up against Arsenal. Brentford, as I mentioned earlier on in this video, suffering their first defeat at the G-Tech Community Stadium at the hands of high-flying Nottingham Forest. I think Arsenal will have beaten Ipswich a couple of hours after this video goes up. And I think Arsenal are going to get the win here. I think it's going to be very, very close. You could look at Brentford plus 1.5 handicap. I think Arsenal win by 1 goal. I think Brentford score. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Arsenal. And I've actually gone for Arsenal and both teams to score at 2.87. Just a little bit of a risky one. That's the highest odds we've got in this video, and for good reason. But I think it's worth a little go because I think Arsenal will get the win. Even without Saka, I think they can beat Brentford 2-1. I could definitely see them slipping up, but that means I think Brentford will definitely score, and I'm just hoping Arsenal get over the line. But as I said, that is it for 2024. Thank you so much for all the support. Make sure you drop a like, leave your predictions down in the comments below, and I will see you in the new year. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you very soon.